The courtroom in Lagos was silent, heavy with tension. Lawyers shuffled their papers, journalists adjusted their cameras, and the gallery was filled with curious eyes, waiting for the high-profile case to begin. At the center of it all sat Judge Daniel Okoro, tall, handsome, dressed in his black robe and cap. But this was no ordinary judge. He was a billionaire, respected and feared. Everyone knew his rulings could change lives forever. He banged his gavel. Court is in session. At the defendant's side, a tired-looking woman, Mabel, sat nervously. Her eyes were red, as if she hadn't slept for days. She kept her head low, avoiding Daniel's sharp gaze. This was the woman he once loved, the woman he believed had destroyed his chance of fatherhood. And today, he was about to give her judgment. Daniel's voice was cold. "Mabel Adeyemi, you stand accused of negligence that resulted in the loss of my child." Gasps filled the courtroom. Everyone knew the judge had made this case personal, but no one expected him to say it out loud. Just then, the wooden doors at the back of the courtroom burst open. Heads turned. A girl, no more than 8, stormed in. She was slim, brown-skinned, and her eyes burned with courage far beyond her age. She wore a simple pink gown, and her ponytail bounced as she walked forward. "Stop," she shouted, pointing at Judge Daniel. "My mother is innocent." The entire courtroom froze. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Young lady, who are you to disrupt this court?" The girl's chest rose and fell, her small hands trembling but her voice firm. "My name is Patricia Adeyemi, and I am here to defend my mother. You have no right to accuse her, because the truth is," she paused, tears glistening in her eyes, "you are my father." The courtroom erupted into chaos. Lawyers dropped their pens. Reporters scrambled to capture every second. Mabel gasped, covering her face in shame, but Daniel sat frozen, his gavel slipping from his hand. His mouth opened, but no words came out. His eyes locked on Patricia, the girl standing so boldly before him, her face carrying a reflection of his own youth. "No, it can't be," he whispered. But deep inside, Daniel already knew. And as Patricia raised her finger toward him, her next words cut through the courtroom like lightning. "You abandoned us because of your mother, but I won't let you destroy mine. Today, the world will know the truth." The gallery roared in shock. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. Could this really be his daughter? Had Mabel lied to him all these years? The truth was about to explode, and nothing in Daniel's life would ever be the same again. The gavel rolled across the desk and fell to the floor with a loud thud. Daniel stood up, trembling, staring at the girl who claimed to be his daughter. The entire courtroom waited for his next word. For a long moment, the grand Lagos courtroom remained frozen. Nobody breathed. All eyes were locked on the small figure who had just stormed in. Patricia Adeyemi was only 8 years old. Her tiny hands clutched the hem of her pink dress, but her back was straight, and her little voice carried louder than anyone expected. "I am not lying," she said, her words shaking but firm. "You are my father, and my mother is innocent." Daniel's face went pale. His throat tightened as he looked at the child. Her big, brown eyes glistened with tears. But what struck him most was how much she looked like him. His nose, his lips, even the slight tilt of her chin. Gasps spread through the courtroom like wildfire. Lawyers leaned closer. Reporters scribbled furiously. The gallery whispered. Judge Daniel banged his gavel again, but his voice was unsteady. "Order, order in the court." Patricia took another step forward, her small shoes clicking on the polished floor. "My grandma, Mrs. Judith, told my mommy to leave you. She said she would kill us if mommy stayed. Mommy didn't do anything wrong. She was only protecting me." The courtroom shook with murmurs. Daniel's heart hammered. His own mother? Could Judith, the woman who raised him with iron hands, truly have threatened the love of his life? His mind spun. He remembered how suddenly Mabel had disappeared all those years ago, leaving him with no explanation, no goodbye. "Mabel!" Daniel's voice cracked, his eyes burning into the woman seated at the defense table. "Is this true? Tell me now." Mabel trembled, tears streaming down her cheeks. For years she had carried the burden of silence, too afraid of Judith's threats. But her daughter, her brave, innocent daughter, had spoken the words she couldn't. She opened her mouth, but before she could speak, Patricia stomped her foot, her tiny voice breaking the silence again. "Why are you quiet, Mommy? Tell him the truth. You didn't lose the baby. You didn't lose me. I am the baby." The crowd gasped again. Some clutched their chests. One woman even fainted. Daniel staggered backward, his hand gripping the edge of his desk for support. His eyes blurred as he looked at Patricia, then at Mabel. The pieces of the puzzle were finally snapping together. Patricia's voice cracked with emotion. "You abandoned me because Grandma scared Mommy. But I won't let you hurt her again. You are my father, whether you like it or not." Daniel's knees felt weak. For the first time in his career, the billionaire judge didn't know how to rule. He didn't even know how to breathe. And then, just as the room reached breaking point, the doors at the back swung open again. Standing there was Judith, Daniel's mother. Her face was cold, her eyes burning with fury. The entire courtroom turned. Patricia gasped and clung to her mother's arm as Judith's icy voice cut through the chaos. "This little girl talks too much. And if you value your life, Daniel, you will silence her." The atmosphere in the courtroom shifted instantly when Judith Okoro stepped in. Her presence carried a weight that silenced the murmurs. Her expensive lace gown shimmered under the lights, her headscarf wrapped tight, and her eyes burned like fire. "Daniel," she said sharply, her voice slicing through the air, "do not let this child's foolishness shame our family name. Mabel is lying, as she has always done. Remove them now." Patricia's small body trembled. She clung tightly to her mother's arm, her big eyes darting between the grandmother she feared and the father she barely knew. Mabel lowered her head, tears falling like rain. But this time, Daniel didn't stay silent. "Mother," his voice thundered, "you will not speak another word in my courtroom without my permission." The crowd gasped. For the first time, the billionaire judge had raised his voice at his powerful mother. Judith's jaw tightened. "Daniel, you are being manipulated. That child is not yours." Daniel slammed his hand against the desk, his eyes blazing. "Enough. Look at her, mother. Look at Patricia. She carries my face, my blood. Do not insult my intelligence." Patricia's lips quivered. "Daddy," she whispered for the very first time. Daniel's heart broke into pieces. That one word "daddy" filled the empty space in his soul he never knew still ached. He looked at her with trembling hands, resisting the urge to rush down and hug her. "Tell me the truth now, Mabel," Daniel demanded, his voice softer but desperate. "Why did you leave me? Did my mother threaten you?" Mabel sobbed, her voice shaking as years of buried pain poured out. "Yes. She came to me when I found out I was pregnant. She said she would kill me and the baby if I stayed. I wanted to protect our child, so I disappeared. I had no choice." The courtroom erupted again. Some shouted in disbelief, others shook their heads in pity. Daniel turned to his mother, his hands clenched. "Is it true, Mother? Did you threaten the woman I loved? Did you force her to hide my child from me for 8 years? Judith's face hardened. "I did what was necessary. I could not let some village girl ruin your future. You were destined for greatness, Daniel, not to be trapped with a mistake." Her words sliced through the air. Patricia's eyes filled with tears as she shouted, "I am not a mistake. I am your granddaughter." The gallery applauded, clapping for the brave little girl. Cameras flashed. Daniel rose from his seat, his robe swaying as he walked down from the bench. He stood before his mother, his tall frame towering over her. His voice shook with rage. "You destroyed 8 years of my life. You kept my daughter from me. You broke Mabel's spirit. But listen carefully, Mother. From today, you will never control my life again." Judith flinched, taken aback. For the first time, she saw a son who wasn't under her iron hand anymore. Daniel turned and faced Mabel and Patricia. Slowly, he bent down, his trembling hand reaching out to the small girl. "Patricia," he whispered, his voice breaking, "forgive me. I didn't know. But from now on, no one, not even my own mother, will ever hurt you or your mother again. I promise." Patricia's little hand slid into his. Tears ran down both their cheeks. The entire courtroom stood in silence, watching a billionaire judge finally become a father. Suddenly, a stern court officer rushed in, holding a brown envelope. He whispered something to Daniel and handed him the document. Daniel's eyes widened as he opened it. Inside were photographs, secret photos of Mabel meeting with someone in the shadows. His blood ran cold. "Who took these, and why now?" he muttered. The truth wasn't finished yet. The courtroom buzzed as Daniel stared at the photographs in the brown envelope. His hand trembled as he held them up to the light. Each picture showed Mabel meeting a strange man in dark corners of Lagos hotels. exchanging envelopes, whispering as though hiding something dangerous. The gallery murmured in shock. Reporters leaned forward, snapping photos. Even Patricia's little hand gripped Daniel's sleeve tightly. Mabel's face went pale. "Daniel, I can explain." Judith smirked, her arms crossed with triumph. "Do you see now, Daniel? She has always been a liar. While you were chasing your so-called love, she was living a secret life." Daniel's chest tightened. Confusion twisted his heart, but something inside him whispered this wasn't the full truth. He looked at Mabel, at her trembling lips, her pleading eyes. "Tell me," he demanded, his voice heavy. "Who is this man? What are these meetings about?" Mabel's lips parted, but no sound came. She lowered her head, tears streaming. I can't say." "You must say." Daniel's voice thundered, echoing through the courtroom. Patricia tugged his robe. Her little voice trembled. "Daddy, please don't be angry. Mommy told me once she was paying someone to protect us. She was scared Grandma would find us. Maybe that's the man." The room gasped. Daniel's mind spun. Was Mabel forced to hide all these years, not just from him, but from something much darker? He turned sharply to the officer who brought the envelope. "Who delivered this to you?" The officer looked nervous. "It was anonymous, sir. No name. Just instructions to give it to you during this trial." Daniel's eyes narrowed. Somebody wanted to break him apart from Mabel and Patricia. Right at the moment he was ready to protect them. But who? And why? Judith's lips curved in a cruel smile. "Daniel, you see the evidence. Don't let that child blind you. End this nonsense. Convict Mabel and let us bury this shame." Daniel turned on her, his voice low but sharp as a blade. "Mother, one more word, and I will hold you in contempt of court." "It's so." The gallery gasped again. Judith froze, her pride wounded. Daniel then looked at Mabel, his tone softer. "You don't have to hide anymore. I will protect you and Patricia no matter what. But if there are secrets still buried, bring them out now, before they destroy us all." Mabel's body shook. She closed her eyes, whispering, "If I speak, everything changes. Not just for us, but for you too, Daniel." "What do you mean?" Daniel asked, his chest tightening. The silence was broken by Patricia's innocent voice. "Mummy, please, tell him. Don't be scared anymore. He's on our side now." The entire room leaned in. Mabel raised her tear-streaked face, took a deep breath, and finally whispered the words that made Daniel stagger back in disbelief. "I didn't disappear only because of your mother, Daniel. I disappeared because the man in those photos is your father's oldest enemy, and he swore he would destroy you if he ever knew about Patricia." The courtroom erupted in chaos. Daniel's gavel fell from his hand again as he whispered, almost to himself, "My father's enemy? Still alive? And watching us?" The courtroom shook with whispers. Reporters whispered furiously into their phones. Lawyers exchanged wide-eyed glances. Judge Daniel's mind raced. His father's oldest enemy, the shadowy figure he had heard about as a child, was somehow tied to Mabel's disappearance, to Patricia's hidden life, and now to this very trial. He stepped closer to Mabel, his voice deep but steady. "Who is this man? Tell me now." Mabel's hands trembled as she clutched Patricia's shoulders. "His name is Chief Dominic. When I found out I was pregnant, your mother wasn't the only one who came after me. Chief Dominic sent men. He said if I didn't stay away from you, he would ruin you. I paid him for years, Daniel, just to keep Patricia and me safe. That's why I met him in secret." Gasps filled the courtroom. Judith's face went white. "You dare bring Dominic into this?" Daniel turned sharply toward his mother. "So it's true. You knew about this all along." Judith stammered. I thought it was the only way to protect our family name. Dominic hated your father. I couldn't let him use her against you." "Protect our family name?" Daniel's voice shook with fury. "Mother, you destroyed it. You lied. You threatened Mabel. You kept my daughter from me for 8 years. That is not protection, that is betrayal." Judith lowered her gaze, silent for the first time. Daniel looked at Patricia, her small hands clutching his robe. Her eyes were wide, innocent, yet filled with strength. "Daddy, are we safe now?" she whispered. He knelt down, his robe sweeping the floor, and cupped her face gently. "Yes, my angel. As long as I breathe, no one will ever hurt you or your mother again. Not Dominic, not anyone." The gallery clapped softly. Moved by the sight of the billionaire judge finally claiming his child, Daniel rose to his full height, his gavel back in his hand. His voice was firm. This court finds Mabel Adeyemi not guilty. The accusations are dismissed. The room erupted in cheers. Cameras flashed. Patricia smiled through her tears, hugging her mother tightly. Then Daniel turned to the gallery, his voice echoing with authority. And let it be known, no threat, no family pride, no enemy will ever tear my family apart again. From this day forward, I will protect them with everything I have. Mabel's knees buckled in relief, and Daniel rushed to steady her. He held her close, whispering, I lost you once. I will never lose you again. Patricia looked up at them, her little voice breaking the heavy silence one last time. Can we go home now? Together? Daniel smiled, tears glistening in his eyes. He lifted Patricia into his arms, turned to Mabel, and for the first time in years, they walked side by side, no longer broken, but whole. Behind them, Judith sank into her chair, her proud shoulders trembling. For once, she was powerless, and she knew it. The courtroom doors opened, light streaming through. Daniel, Mabel, and Patricia stepped out into the world as a family finally free, finally complete. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos.